Hi everyone, welcome to our new project. In this project we're going to turn this aluminium drink can that we've built previously into a little character by adding some arms and legs. So we're going to go through the process in this video of starting to model these. So there'll be a little bit of modeling involved just to add these features, and then what we're going to do is jump into rigging. And then down the track we'll do a little bit of animation as well. So this is really just to get you a little bit more familiar with some of these processes at a very basic level. Obviously, for those of you that are wanting to continue on with this a lot more, you know, you'll need to continue on researching and practicing and so on to further develop your skills. So let's jump in, and this is sort of what we're aiming for at the end. Okay, so I've got my can model open just here. Now this is Maya 2016. The can was originally built in Maya 2013, so the model itself originated from a few versions ago. The material shaders that are on this model are not really compatible with the default rendering viewport 2 just here, and because of the way they've also been set up, they don't really show by default properly in the viewport, but we don't really need to kind of worry about that. The model itself, we can lighten, adjust the materials on towards the end when we're ready to render. That's something we can always go back and adjust, coloring and lighting levels and so on. But you can see at the moment this is basically how the model is rendering. So we're going to go through several processes as part of this project. We're going to start off with a little bit of modeling. Then what we'll need to do is we'll need to build a skeleton for the can, incorporating the arms and legs. We'll need to then create a whole range of control objects for the skeleton, and then we need to connect it all together into a final rig so that we can actually move the character around. So for myself, basically what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to treat this can as sort of a body and head sort of all incorporated into one. And the way I'm kind of envisaging this character is that if the, let me just grab my grease pencil tool here. Essentially, if I have the arms kind of coming sort of out here like this, and the legs are sort of down here like this, I'd want the eyes on the character to be, you know, like if we're actually going to have a face on this character, I'm kind of imagining those eyes to be sort of about here, something like this. So in essence, this upper section of the can up here is actually like the character's head, or the top of its head. So, you know, like if we think about maybe like a Frankenstein character, where, you know, like his ears are sort of down here, and he tends to have, you know, the bolts in his neck are in here, and then we've got sort of his eyes like that, his nose and his mouth. This sort of rectangular section up here is sort of what I'm imagining this to be like for the proportions of our character. So basically what we're going to end up with is this sort of head section actually flexing, so it can kind of go sort of bend this way or bend that way or whatever. So I don't necessarily want, for example, for this particular rig I'm going to do, I'm not treating this like this section up here is the head, and then this is the body, and then the legs are kind of out here. So let me just clear this up a little bit. Okay, so what I'm kind of thinking, so what I'm sort of not wanting is to have, you know, sort of the eyes sort of up here, and then the arms out here, and then the legs out here. Okay, because it's just not a very nice proportion. It doesn't really have much style to it. So yeah, what I'm wanting to do is sort of, you know, as I had before, you know, I want this to be sort of, the character's almost completely just head with arms and legs. A bit like Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc., where he's basically just an eyeball with arms and legs, so something similar. Okay, so let's jump in and actually start blocking out these pieces of geometry. So I'm just going to select the can and hit Shift F, and that's just going to zoom all my viewports. I will be working sort of in the side views and the front views for quite a bit of this. So obviously having your orthographic viewports is very, very handy in that regard. I don't need to worry about having any texture on the screen, so I'm just going to switch everything back to its default grey by clicking these little icons here. Really don't need those. Now on occasion it's going to be handy to have the wireframe on shaded option set here, wireframe on shaded. What that does is basically just gives me this wireframe when the model is not selected. So if I'm placing joints, for example, for the skeleton, I can actually line them up against the edges on the polygons like this. Okay, now one note, the wireframe on shaded in this version of Maya, because of this default renderer, you'll want to make sure that your viewport 2 is switched on so that the wireframe actually renders properly. Okay, if you've got this set to legacy, you can see it kind of goes all tatty like this, and it can be difficult to see. And occasionally it does actually pick up edges within the mesh that aren't there, like the actual subdivision meshes. You can see these little dots. So yeah, just set it to whatever's going to give you the cleanest image. All right, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you've got your project folder set properly. If you don't, it's just going to cause problems. It's the first thing you should really do when you open up Maya. So what you'll need to do before you open your file is just go File, Set Project, and then select your project from your folder directory. Okay, in this case for me it's this one just here. So all I've done is selected that and press Set, and then if you go File, Open Scene, basically what you'll need to do is select your can model. Okay, and then basically that'll just load it in, and you'll end up pretty much with this. Now if you've got a can model that's got a whole bunch of lights and backdrops and so on, what you can do is just resave it as something new. So we'll go File, Save Scene As. So let's say you've opened up your file and it's got like a, you know, it's got like a light, and maybe it's got a big polygon in where you've done the rendering and so on. You've got a couple of options. You can either save the file as a new scene and then select these and delete them all, or what you can do is select your can model, make sure that it's all combined together with the rivet and the ring pull. Okay, these all need to be selectable as one thing using the combine button just here on your polygon tab. Okay, if you need to do that, you'll also have to delete the history, but we'll come to that later on. So what you can do is just select your can and just go File, Export Selection, and it should take you straight to the scenes folder, and all you do is just type in a new name, and just make sure that you've got it set to my binary. So you know, we can just rename this, you know, Coke character or can character or something like that, something appropriate. It's up to you. And what that'll do is give you a file where basically all you've got is the can, like that by itself. So that's how I've gotten this particular model by itself. You should notice a couple of potentially you might have some of these texture placements if you've done the reflection maps the same as I did, but don't worry too much if they're not there. Now if they are there, they'll probably get in the way for this, so what you can do is go to Show and turn off texture placements just here. And you can do that in each viewport. Show textured placements like that, and that way they're not going to get in your way when you're modeling, especially when we're doing the legs underneath here. So we'll switch those off. Okay, so I'm going to leave this video here now that we've kind of got our scene set up and ready to go. In the next video I'll start modeling the legs, and then I'll do the arms, and basically we'll get the model ready to be rigged. So I'll leave this here, and I'll see you in the next video.